All right, here we go. Back in the Powered by Iron Health podcast. I'm here with Dr. Maria Cuomo. What's up?
Hey. Can you hear me? Good.
Yeah, I think we can hear you. This is our first podcast in a while. So before we really get into it, we're starting kind of a new trend here. These are going to be more consistent. Our goal is to get at least once a month. I'm going to be involved with them. But we really want to just give an initial picture of what Iron Health is, why we exist. So we have the first one with Maria here, who is the general manager of all the offices. She kind of runs the show. So we're just going to talk into our culture and stuff like that. And before we really dive into the podcast and the questions, we're just going to discuss briefly what our goals are for this, right? And we're going to touch more with that today. But one of our big missions is really to create a safe and fun environment and to have a living room experience. So in this podcast, we're going to bring that to light. We're going to have a living room experience here with all our guests, and we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff. It's going to be potentially about injury prevention, which is our main thing, right? We are a wellness company, but we're going to bring in health, fitness, all sorts of avenues. The key is going to be a fun, inviting an area where you feel like you're in your own living room. So feedback is welcomed, and thank you for listening. All right, so before we dive into things specifically about Iron Health, we're going to talk about Maria.
We're going to talk about our mission, right?
Yeah. Well, before
Before that,
let's talk about your your background. Why did you become a PT?
Oh, okay. So I've been a PT for almost 8 years. I pretty much became a PT because I wanted to stay active myself and then also help people stay active. So just seeing my family grow up and watching people not be able to do what they wanted to do, I wanted to make a change for that, for sure. So I went to New York Medical College, been in Westchester my whole life, not going anywhere, and really feel like with the population that we work with, it could be younger, it could be older, just really helping people achieve the goals that they want, which can be playing with their kids, getting back to CrossFit, running, all those kind of things. So that's what really drives me.
Very cool. Was there like a moment for you where you were like, I want to be a PT? Because a lot of times that's what you hear, right? Most of the people we bring on, that's what happens.
I know. I feel like I don't have the traditional story where I had an injury as like a high schooler and then went to PT. Fortunately, I was an athlete, but never really got seriously injured. But I knew I wanted to be in the helping field, so I thought I wanted to be a dentist and realized, no, that's not for me. Yeah. And then I wanted to be a school psychologist and kind of knew a little bit about it, but once I got to know more about that, it's like more meetings and not as much counseling, then I was like, all right, well, I feel like I want to be helping directly to make a change that I can see. So one of my friends from high school, actually, she knew she wanted to be a PT, told me she was applying, and then I went to do a volunteer experience, and the second I walked in the outpatient gym, I was just like, okay, yeah, I wish I knew about this sooner, because that would have just totally changed my route.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all have different stories, but I feel like the common thing is we want to help people. People going to PT who want to help people. At least that's what we hope, right? Like you're getting into it to try to help people.
Yep.
Maria's never leaving Westchester. We're actually in her dining room right now filming this podcast. So This is our new studio, so we can
bring in the living room experience.
The living room experience, legitimately.
Exactly.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about. I guess we'll start with Iron Health, right? Like we're in business now 5 years at least. You've been with us how many?
2014. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's gonna be
2014.
Not 2014. Sorry, 2018. It's gonna be 4 years.
It's gonna be 4 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Crazy, and it's we've had some crazy growth already.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
We've evolved so many times, and I've given you so many headaches over the last couple of years, but
it's fun. I'm along for the ride. Yeah. For sure.
So let's dive into I guess we can dive into like what we're about. Let's dive our mission, our values. I think it's important, and like I said before, like this episode really is just to get a little flavor of us, like what we offer, who we are, to see if your values align, because that's the most important part. Like we tell anyone we hire, any client we have coming in, it's like, hey, this is what we believe in. Let's get on board.
Yeah. So for me, from my position, I like to be involved with everyone on the day to day, but I'm also involved with the hiring. And I think, like you said, for us, it's being super transparent of what we're all about from day one, and setting those expectations. So as far as, you know, training, I'm the one who's sitting down with people and going through each and every value that we have, which we have 9 right now, to tell them what the value is. I literally go one by one, give them examples of what I mean, so that as far as expectations go, I want them to know every day when they encounter a situation, even if one of us isn't there to help them out, they have something to fall back on. Like, this is how you should be proceeding. One of them is people first. So like, if something comes up and you are like, well, should I do this? Or like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? At the end of the day, like, you got to put people first. Like, people first means staff, people first means patients. So whatever the decision is, it should be that you put that person ahead of whatever else you're considering. So
yeah, I mean, we could elaborate on that one too. Like, we can dive into each one specifically, I guess. People first is a big one, right? Because we could even talk briefly about a lot of other places and clinics where it's a hard balance in reality when you have a business. Like, you do have to, it's a business, but you also have to make sure that you're treating everyone with ultimate respect and how you want to be treated. So people first really is an important thing. We're not looking at people as a number. Yeah. Like, what are some things you see that really shows the people first value?
Well, I think so. Then this is based on my previous experience too. Is I know how important it is to show that people come first, because I've been in positions at other places where like people don't even say hi to each other in the morning. You just walk in and everybody kind of does their own thing, in their own bubble, and that to me just wasn't very enjoyable. So it's like, for us, we say hi to each other, coworker wise. We ask how your weekend was. We want to know a little bit more on that realm, and just being overall friendly. And then when we have patients come in, greeting and like stopping what you're doing for the second just to acknowledge that person's in front of you. Even if you need to tell them you're going to help them in a second, I think goes a long way.
Yeah, I agree totally with that.
Yeah,
and even in our field too, where like the medical field can be ugly with insurances and stuff like that. Yeah. So a lot of people, like, insurance can dictate care or something of that nature, but in reality, like, everyone's a person first. It's I think it's a good value to live by in general.
Yeah, right? Absolutely.
Like, I heard a good quote, or a good example is like, when you go to the grocery store, don't make everything transactional, make it an interaction. So it's not just, hey, here's $1, give me my gum or whatever. Yeah. It's like, hey, how are you? What's going on? And granted, listen, like, some people will not respond to that. I have this new thing in my gym. There's this girl where I go in the morning, and she's the total opposite of people first. And I'll wave to her, say hello. But now, like, every time I leave, I always wave to her, and I like try to get her attention just to see how uncomfortable she can be. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna either turn her, or she's just gonna ignore me consistently. But like, it's funny because those small things like go such a long way. Like, absolutely, it's a matter how you make people feel. And like, reality, like, we're on this planet together. As woo as that might sound, like, we have to respect each other, right? Yeah. Cool. So that's a good overlay of that value. I guess we can go through our values since we're on it, and then we can kind of dive into culture specifically, because I guess the value is really what creates that, right? That's pretty much where my head was at. Yeah. Do you run your life on values? I feel like I've grown to, honestly. It's like, I think, like, overarching, I always have done, like, do unto others that you want done unto you. Like, that's my golden rule. So like, even if it becomes a situation where, it becomes like emotional, it's like, I just try to think about, like, well, I wouldn't want somebody to do that to me kind of situation, or like, how can I make this better for that person? Yeah. So I pretty much, like, those were like my personal values. So then, it makes sense in a work setting to have values, for sure. Totally. Yeah. For me, like, my life, I check everything on my value system, because if you're not, like, if I don't have something to make decisions, like, what am I basing it on? So it really comes down to my value system. Like, that's like my baseline. Like, does this align with my value? Yes or no? And then I'm going to do it or not. So.
Yeah.
All right. So our next one is educators. So I guess like you can really elaborate more on this than me, but what's this big value for?
Educating. So not only educating our patients or clients, but educating each other. Like being available to each other as a resource. That's why we do in-services, we do meetings, we meet constantly. And it's all for like trying to figure out how to be that 1% better. So it's like when it comes down to maybe someone isn't doing things the way that you want it to be done, it's not necessarily that they're doing it on purpose. It's like you just need to take the time to show them like step by step kind of what can I do to help you? What can I do to make this better? How can we get to this point? And just knowing that everyone learns a little bit differently too. So as a PT, you get a lot of practice because we see a lot of patients. Some people have never exercised a day in their life. Some people exercise every day. So that really helps you hone in on like, honestly, it could be any level that you're going to have to adapt and learn how to like, okay, this person has to learn more about how to squat. How can I make that happen? Because at the end of the day, if you educate properly and you help them make it their own, I think it empowers them to do better by them, to improve them.
Do you have a specific example of like one of your clients?
Pretty much feel like all of my clients, I really always tell them why. Yeah. That's to me, it's like, if I know for myself, if I don't know why I'm doing something, I'm less likely to do it. So I think when I'm educating somebody on a home exercise program or a specific exercise, I think the why goes a long way. So it's like once they know why, they're like, oh, okay, this is why I'm going to do it. And it just creates better compliance, and better compliance is going to improve their results overall.
How important do you think education is in the clinical field?
Very important, because it's always changing.
It's always changing.
Yeah. It's like what I knew coming out of grad school is different than, how I'm practicing now. Like a very big difference. And I think I love having new graduates on staff because of that too, because they just bring so many different perspectives and ideas that weren't even considered or might not have had as much weight when we were in grad school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like we've all had an experience in a clinical spot where the PTs are a little older and they're just set in their ways, and in reality I think that's bad.
Yeah,
overall for anybody, because like what are you delivering at that point if you're not educating and learning? So that's a good one. Educators to our patients, education to our staff.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have meetings like all the time.
Yeah.
And at this point now, like where we are, 3 clinics in, almost 30 people on staff. Yeah. Consistently meeting to try to grow and learn and educate. And in reality, when we host meetings, it's all education. Yeah. This is educational. It's a part of us. Cool. So our next one is one of my favorites, goal settings. Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I've definitely become more of a goal setter working for Iron Health. Totally. I think goals go 2 ways in my head, as far as why I choose to make a goal. One is to direct all of my actions towards something. The other is to consistently, like we know as PTs, you have to progress. So once you hit one goal, you have to move the goalpost. So you have to, you're going to set something into a long-term goal, but how do we break it down? And then once you achieve that long-term goal, moving that goalpost, like we're gonna, we hired, 2 PTs this year. So now we have 2 PTs. How many more PTs do we need? It's going to be constantly evolving. So your goals have to constantly evolve.
Yeah, totally. And it's so important because like you have something to shoot for, right? It's not like you're not just going through the world without a direction. Yeah. Like I feel like for us this year was our first year where we had like a 2-day annual meeting. Yep. Right. And how many goals did we come out with that? Yeah. A lot. It's like it goes back to like, we have these goals, we set them, and then we recheck to see where we're at and reassess on growth. And I feel like it goes across through the whole company. Absolutely. Like we started at the top, and then every department has the same principle. It's a big part of like, hey, this not only happens with us as the leaders, but it happens with you as the PT, with you as the admin, and with your patients. Like, because it's exactly right. It across the board, it's so important.
Yeah, and accountability, which has been like our big thing this year for sure.
Totally.
And I think a lot of that stemmed from that 2-day meeting. It's like we're gonna hold ourselves accountable. If we do that, it will trickle down.
What's a big goal you set this year for yourself personally?
Personally,
Yeah.
To be a good homeowner since my first year. So try to keep everything in one piece. Honestly,
How's it going so far?
it's month number 3 or 4. It's doing pretty well.
Hasn't burned down yet.
Yeah, exactly. Had a couple calls for repair people pretty much every other week, but it's okay.
Yeah, it's it's like the quote, like how you do everything. How you do one thing is how you do everything.
How you do anything is how you do everything.
Yeah. I'm just like organized chaos throughout my whole life. I've accepted it.
Well, that's my thing actually, because you're more organized this year.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be more organized because I just want to like be ahead of things. Yeah. I would say.
And that's been a goal of mine, being more organized. I'm
Yeah.
just trying to transition it from like just the business side to like personal.
Yeah.
Because that's like, I'm just lazy. I come home, I'm Italian. Like I said, like we had that conversation. I'm Italian. My mom used to do everything. Like, all right, I'll go home and sit on the couch. What am I gonna do today?
I know.
So that's a changing for me. All right, grow together. Another big one.
Yeah.
So we're up to our 4th goal.
Yeah.
4th value. I'm sorry.
Yeah. We've grown together. Like, to think about where we were in 2018, it was just you and me. It's kind of mind-boggling, honestly, and just knowing that we're not even where we're going to be. Like, we are where we are, but it's going to keep going. And then just how we foster this in our patients, our employees, really is always asking what their goals are. So honestly, it's at least every quarter we're sitting down with each PT, finding out what their clinical goals are, as well as what their, personal goals are, just to check in, because if, personal growth and professional growth go together. So we want to foster that with them. Honestly, just, we want that growth mindset throughout. So we have that growth mindset. We want to embody that. We want everybody to embody that, because we can always be 1% better. So.
Totally. I mean, that's well said. Growth mindset is so important, and it comes from everything, because it has to be carried over to your life.
Yeah.
Like, the more I do this, the more I realize that like we're not only focused on the growth of the company, we're focused on the growth of the person as
Absolutely.
an individual. Like, because your capacity to perform is based on how much you grow as a person. So I mean, we see that. We have stagnation. If we have stagnation, it ends up fizzling out, or those people end up won't liking us, because they'll get that feel and be like, oh, whoa, this is serious. There's a lot demanded to me, and I need to be a better person, which is what we want.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you do on a personal sense to grow as a person?
Well, I've done a vision board, honestly.
Nice.
Recently. It's keeping up with it. I know you should probably check back and everything like that. And I mean, growing like just as an adult, I feel like adulting is hard.
Yeah.
But professionally, learning to set some boundaries as far as work and life, so that I can try to manage a house.
She says that as we're in her
I know.
house doing the podcast.
This is the big thing this year for sure. And then, setting goals for myself and holding myself accountable to it, because I feel like sometimes I used to like not want to set goals, because if I fail, then I fail, and I don't like failing. Nobody likes failure. I don't like to fail. So type A. Yeah, I know.
We win.
Totally. So I think I used to shy away from goals, but I'm definitely trying to do that, because I know that correlates to my growth.
Yeah, I'm very similar. I mean, we set, like, my wife and I will have a year where we go, like, every year we go away, do a similar planning event. It's just, for me, it's more of like I have to find the balance, because I can get really obsessed. Like, oh, I gotta get these goals, and then like everything else goes to the wayside.
Yeah.
So it's important to grow. Like, I don't know. I look at it like wheels of a car, right? You have like the 4 avenues of life, like family, work, spiritual, financial, and like making sure you feed each of those tires, and like figuring out what works. But yeah, it's carried over everywhere. It's carried over to our team. It's carried over to every meeting we do, and it's just like I want to leave these meetings feeling positive and happy, not like crappy.
Yeah.
You gotta. if you don't grow, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah.
Honestly.
It's true.
So it's a matter of like pushing us to that level to grow as a unit.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So our next one is delivering a wow service.
Yeah. This is huge for us, honestly. We don't want to be. We're changing what physical therapy is, and we're integrating wellness into physical therapy. A lot of times I feel like people don't realize what we do as physical therapists, and once somebody's in the office, I think that changes their perspective, and that's really our goal. We want to go above and beyond. So every staff member is, in tune to what that means. So we want to, reach out to that person, establish that relationship, really make somebody feel welcomed, and safe and have fun. That's part of our mission statement. That's part of really what delivering a wow service is. We will, give you a goodie bag. We make sure that, you have a schedule all set so that accountability factor. You need anything, we're going to be available for you. So the PTs, we can actually be contacted via text, via email. Something that I think a lot of places don't offer is like, we're going to be reachable, and we want to be reachable because whatever you need, we want to be there for you. And I kind of see it as like, as far as the PTs goes, we're a resource. So we have limitations on what we can do in life. There's certain things that we might not be able to help you on, but from our education, from our knowledge, from our experience, we can always help to advise and like go from there. That's how I look at it.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so important. Do you have any stories of some restaurants that like just were horrible, that sucked, that you were like, oh, I'm never coming back here?
Yeah, totally.
Do you have one on top of your head?
It's hard. It's hard because I know the industry in general went through a lot recently, but I think
you don't want to bash the industry.
No.
Nice
I know for me, consistency is what matters. So like I can have an amazing first experience, but then if the second time I go back it's not good, I'm not going back. That's probably what's going to happen, honestly. But the places that are maybe they're a little bit more expensive, maybe they're a little bit more out of the way, but I know I'm consistently going to have good food, good service, good atmosphere. I'm going to go there. That's part of us too, is like we want to be consistent, and I think that makes a big difference.
Totally.
Yeah.
And we can double down on that too. Like you're into price if we want to, but it's I have an interesting story. When I was in Hawaii, we went to this place, and like online they had like acai bowls and shit like that, and we're like, all right, we're gonna go and get some acai bowls, and we went there, and they didn't have it on the menu. And then they had like two different menus, and one was like, oh, we only serve from 12 to 2, and the other one was like 12 to 5, and it was just all confusing. And my wife got upset. She said something when the waitress was there, and the waitress left, and then like stopped serving us, and someone else came and served us. And I'm like, all right, like these people obviously have different value system to the point where like they're not coming in and giving us that wow service. Like I'll never go back.
Yeah.
It's just those little things mean a lot, and people feel that.
Yeah.
So it really sets you apart. Like,
definitely.
We say it all the time. Like people can go down the street. We have PT clinics at every office right down the street.
Yeah.
And the reason they choose us is because the value and the service we give is 10x what they can.
Yeah.
And that's just going to keep growing,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So next we have here, have fun and be welcoming.
Yeah, if anyone walks into any of our offices, we have fun. I've had to have those convos where I'm like, okay, now it's time to work. So we have a good time, honestly. For me, one of the best parts is when I'm in an office and I'm, not with a patient, I can hear all the staff kind of laughing, joking, or the PTs joking with their patients. We have fun. Like, that's what we want, and we encourage it. We get together pretty much every other month, like outside of the clinics, to get everybody together. Since we have 3 locations, it's really nice to bring everybody together on a regular basis, because that's definitely feedback we've gotten from our staff too, is they like to see the other PTs from the other clinics. And I think honestly our patients have a lot of fun. They look forward to coming to PT, not only because we're helping them, but it's like actually enjoyable, which I think is sometimes it's hard for people to understand. Sometimes PT gets a bad rap and you don't want to go. It hurts. It's going to be hard. We don't want that to be how you leave. Like, we want you to leave, have fun, laugh, have a good time. And that's really honestly one of the best parts of working here. Is like, you can tell the moment you walk in the door, everybody is happy to be there.
Totally. Yeah, we gotta have fun, right?
Yeah.
Like, how many hours of a day you at work? 8's a normal.
Mm-hmm.
I like 10.
Yeah.
I like when people work for 10.
No
overtime.
I work 10 hours.
Yeah, exactly. So that's you need that environment, because like, if you're just miserable, like, you're not having fun, that's gonna carry over to your patient care. You can do the same crap with every patient, and just, you're there for like a paycheck. It's not like more than that.
Absolutely.
Like, we're more. It's like, you gotta have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll fire clients if they're not a part of this culture. We've done it before.
Yeah.
Just so people know, like, it's important. We want the right people to work for us as staff, but we also want the right clients. Like, not, some people don't vibe with us, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Next one, solution-driven ownership. We got 2 more values, and then we'll talk culture.
Solution-driven ownership is huge. It really goes back to the goal setting. It's taking ownership of everything you do. So that's patience, making sure, like, we're going to ask you, what are the limiting factors? What's going to, get in the way of you achieving your goals? Because I want to hear out of your mouth, what is it that I need to do on my part to make sure that we still get you where you want to be? For our staff, it's taking ownership. There's no excuses. So if you see a problem, it's figuring out what the solution is before even thinking about, like, I would rather someone come to me with the solution than the problem. Like, think it through. What do you see from your perspective as the solution? And then we can talk about it and really get some feedback on it. How do we make it better? Let's, like, at the end of the day, like, if you succeed, everybody succeeds. So I really try to instill that in each encounter that I have with anybody on staff.
Totally. It's not my job mentality.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we got this value a lot from, like, Jocko Willink really talks about extreme ownership. And really, that's what it is. Like, own everything you do, and it's a value for life. Like, you can't it's not just about work. Like, it carries over in every avenue of your life.
Yeah.
Just with the office, it's like, hey, propose a solution, because it's not just going to be like, hey, I have this problem, that problem, that problem. I don't care. Like, I want to know what the solution is.
Yeah.
Like, how are we getting beyond this? What's the next 3 steps for us to grow from this problem that's arising?
Exactly.
Bring that to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Let's all do it together. Cool. Our last one here is positive team and relationships.
Yeah, it really goes back to it's like part of being fun and welcoming, but just knowing that every interaction we have connections and relationships. So it's like no one's in isolation. Everything we do is related to, can affect and have an effect on other people. So keeping that in mind. So with the start of each meeting, we always ask a positive. So we go around. Right now, we have a lot of staff in some of the offices, so we'll ask for 3 positives. And then the smaller offices, everybody gets to contribute a positive. But the thing is, we are always going to start on a positive note, and then, like you said, we want to end on a positive note as well. If it's taking the time out with our patients to really make sure that they're having a good experience. Like, when someone's in pain, it might not. They might not be acting the way that they typically would. It's like keeping that in mind, because you can help actually redirect and not only get them out of pain, but mindset wise, put them in a better mind, state of mind. There you go. So it's in positivity, just in general, makes a big difference. Like, it's not easy if you have an injury, psychologically, mentally, physically, all the above. It's taking all of that into account and knowing that you can change how they're experiencing what they're experiencing.
Absolutely. And that's good to discuss with the clients, and even but with us too. Like I always say, when we hire one person, we're hiring 100 relationships.
Yeah. So
learning how to manage that and making sure that nothing's toxic, and like if it is, like it has to be handled immediately. That goes down to a lot of our communication.
Absolutely.
Like it's handled honestly and immediately. Yeah, I think that's another one I missed on this list.
I know. I was realizing that's a big one.
Yeah, so we can end on that one. Honest communication, and it's a good segue for us.
Yeah.
So
for honest communication, that is one of the biggest, to be honest, because really it shows like our transparency. Having those tough conversations sometimes, like if it's those moments where you probably feel less comfortable, but it helps you grow and it helps everybody grow. So it's just knowing that and keeping that in mind. Like at the end of the day, it's a business and we have to act accordingly, and following these values. And I think it kind of comes back to keeping all these values in mind. So if there is something that doesn't align with these values, it's having that tough conversation and communicating on a way to come up with a solution and take ownership and all the above. So I think it piggybacks off of pretty much every single value we touched upon.
Mm-hmm. Totally. And being honest across the board.
Yeah.
Like we always have meetings. I'm like, hey guys, if I'm screwing up, tell me.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I might be crazy. You have to have that conversation with me because we're a unit. It's not a me mentality, right?
Yeah.
As we always say, it's a we.
Mm-hmm.
Not like we work, but like we. What's the documentary on that the other day? It was pretty wild.
I saw that there's one. I want to watch it.
You should watch it. It's good. So with all our values together, how does that create our culture? What's the IH culture?
Yeah, we definitely have a culture. You can feel it. Yeah. Like it's honestly, it's what it has attracted people to come work for us too. If you follow us on Instagram or see us in YouTube videos, you can see it just from that. It's how we carry ourselves, and I think it's how we want. It's just, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like really all these values.
Yeah, and it's good. I mean, the values make up our culture, right? And like, it's a good thing to be a part of.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to shift the way people see PT. It's going from that conversation of, hey, I tried PT once, it didn't work, to like, wow, this place is great. I feel like this isn't PT. This is making me better and healthier, and I feel amazing. And like, you could tell everyone likes each other. Like for me, when I see things like we have, the chats going, when I see people discussing things or playing around, like that makes me happy because there's like a little banter and like people are really like, hey, we're gonna have fun here. It's like these values are ingrained in our culture.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's the right people. It's a culture fit more than anything.
Yeah.
Right. When we hire, of course you need the logistics, but at the end, can you fit this culture? Because if not, it's not going to be here. If you're here for like a regular 9 to 5 and go home, like it's not going to fit. It just doesn't mesh well with ours. I
think a lot of these values pretty much embody what a team is too. It's like what you're going to be working together. What are the things that help that? And it's honest communication. It's delivering wow service. It's positive relationships. So I think all of our values actually like show like what a team should be. Like I think, and like a lot of us were athletes. We know what it's like to be on a team. But I think without that experience, you can even get that just from our values and how we operate.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just going to keep evolving because we're going to keep learning too, right? Like a big thing for us, the leadership team is like, what can we learn right now to get better? What courses can we go to? Like we're embodying these values, which is going to turn and embody the culture. And we're not going to stop, we're not going to stop, keep growing this thing. Like that's the fun part about it. All right. Any closing remarks, closing thoughts?
I don't know. First podcast for me. So, I just am super grateful overall. I know like each day I just know I have an opportunity. Like that's my biggest thing. Part of my opportunity is embodying these values, instilling it in all the team, and just working hard at something that's bigger than me. So I'm just grateful overall.
Cool. Yeah. Absolutely. Beautiful. All right. So for us, we're the Powered by Iron Health podcast. You can find us on Instagram too. That's our tag. This will be on YouTube and stuff like that. If you guys like this, leave us a comment. If you don't, leave us a comment. We love haters too, honestly. This is going to keep evolving. If you're interested in getting on, we're going to kind of start with the Westchester area and see what happens there. We're going to bring on Ryan, who's one of our clinical leads, the next podcast. Thanks for listening.
Thanks.